the concept and some of the distinctions around hiring protege advisors and administrative staff, being mindful of chemistry. You and I have talked about the rule of three, that somebody needs a very significant methodical vetting process before hiring somebody. And the rule of three is that everybody has to be interviewed at least 3 times in 3 different environments by 3 different people on the team to get consensus. And this is where the whole behavioral element seeps in. And I know this is a big part of what you do. So let's touch on that for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting because when a lead advisor, when somebody's hiring on their own and they don't engage others in the process, sometimes emotions can take over, right? Mm-hmm. I really like this person. I want it to work, right? So sometimes the more hard data gets kind of lost in the weeds because you're excited, and sometimes the person that you're talking to, like they do want the job, legitimately they do, and they want to be part of the team. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that their behavioral styles are going to necessarily mesh, right? So absolutely talking to other members of the team can be so powerful and important, vital in bringing in that right person. You'd never want to bring in a new team member that's going to cause friction or shake things up in a negative way. And the profiling, and combined with talking to numerous people or getting opinions of a few different team members before hiring, that can really alleviate some of those potential challenges.
It's funny, I've experienced that myself, where my own confirmation bias, I can remember more than once looking at a resume, being very impressed, doing a little digging, becoming more impressed, then meeting somebody in an interview and saying, okay, this is phenomenal, this is perfect. And then other team members go through the process, and there was a temptation for me to mandate, this is the person. But you can believe your own hype to such a degree. And then sure enough, another team member chimes in with insights and then compares and contrasts it to another candidate. And then sure enough, that was a better fit. And I think,
sure,
as a leader, if I'm mandating, insisting, and undermining the input of others, that has another unintended consequence. Now here's another thing I want to ask you, because I've seen this in our business as well. There's a chicken and egg around hiring. I've talked to many advisors who say, when we get to this level of revenue, then we're going to pull the trigger. And it's this cause and effect, build it and they will come, interesting concept there. So what is your perspective on that? When should somebody make a decision to add to their team?
Yeah, the answer probably most likely is now, but it's a matter of recognizing it though, right? When is, if I want to, how do I want to scale up, right? How do I want to build? If the advisor is looking at, and that's not always the way they're going, right? Obviously we talk a lot about scaling down as well, and honing in on that tight little group of clients and just living your best life working with these best clients. That's fabulous. However, if they want to get to, if they want to grow and grow the team and they see themselves more as a CEO, right, then that's a different, obviously a different type of scaling. And that's where they really need to look at intentionally identifying those team members that are needed and what exactly is going to help us get to that next level. So, for example, it might not always be another lead advisor. And sometimes often I'll hear that people want to replicate themselves and, build out get another lead advisor. Well, realistically, that might not be what's needed. So we have to do a lot of insight examination of the roles, the existing roles. Also, what are some of the unused skills in our team our existing team? Often people have got skills, abilities, knowledge, and aspirations beyond the current role that they're at. So it's very important to make sure that everybody's fulfilled, everybody is doing what they're good at, what they want to do, in alignment with the team, moving in the direction that you need it to. But it really does start with defining what it is you want, and then we can plan out like how to get there.